Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining another Tenant Thursday segment. If you're new to Tenant Thursdays, welcome. My name is Alex Escobedo, and I am the Communication and Events Coordinator here at Lawyers Committee for Better Housing, or LCBH. Today's segment, we will discuss the current city, state, and federal moratoria and how they protect Chicago tenants. I'm very excited to introduce everyone to Michelle Gilbert, who is our new legal director. I will be leading LCBH's COVID-19 eviction prevention project. Nice to have you on our Tenant Thursdays, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. 2 weeks on the job, but I tried to hit the ground.
Definitely, yeah, and it was at such a crucial time. We've had news about moratoriums being extended. We have the centers, the CDC order coming out. So I'm glad that you're here talking to us about all the moratoriums and how they affect tenants. So just to kind of hit the ground running, what are the current moratoriums or ordinances that protect tenants in Chicago? And do they offer different levels of protection? Is one more important than the other?
Well, the most important order or ordinance or law for Chicago tenants, as well as throughout the state of Illinois, is Governor Pritzker's moratorium. And the Pritzker's moratorium protects everyone except for people who are committing illegal acts or violations of public health from being evicted. And of course, that's throughout the state. So it means that no eviction cases should be filed. And if there are eviction orders that have been entered, then the sheriffs of the various counties should not enforce them. I think I would say that the governor's moratorium is the most important because the CDC, and I'm sorry, I don't want to use too many acronyms. The Center for Disease Control issued a national moratorium on the announcement came out September 1st and it went into effect September 4th. And that's important. But the CDC moratorium takes the perspective of protecting certain groups of tenants, where the governor's moratorium recognizes that eviction is bad now for everyone because people who are evicted become homeless or they become doubled up, which is a form of homelessness. And that's not good for public health, where you have people living in close quarters or people who are homeless. So the governor's moratorium protects everyone. In the city of Chicago, we also have the Chicago COVID Ordinance that has a different sort of protection. The Chicago Ordinance allows tenants who have a COVID economic impact to give a notice to their landlord. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it does have to be in writing, text, or email. That basically says, I have an economic impact because of COVID, and I would like to negotiate my rent. And that ordinance is the jumping off point for our whole project.
Got it. Thank you. And it was a very simple, I like that breakdown and differences of the two orders on the moratoriums. So kind of going more into the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's order that they recently put out. So I know you mentioned that it's for a very specific tenant. What do you happen to know what the specific requirements for those tenants must be? Or is there what things would exclude someone from receiving or being protected by that moratorium?
The CDC's ordinance or CDC order requires that certain facts are true, that the tenant certifies under penalty of perjury that they're true, and that they give the notice certifying that they're true to the landlord. So the things that must be true are that the tenant's income is below $99,000 a year. That shouldn't be too tough. That they have made attempts at paying rent, that they have made attempts to get rental assistance, and even though the CDC order talks a lot about the dangers of homelessness, it only protects the group of people who can certify that these statements are true. one concern that I have about the CDC order is that it requires that tenants make partial payments to the best extent that they can. In Illinois, if a tenant has made a partial payment to the landlord without having a written agreement, the landlord can still file an eviction. And that is an important purpose of our project. I know that there are a lot of tenants out there who want to make partial payments, who want to work something out with their landlord. I mean, I've been in that place before too, where I owed money and I didn't want to open the mail. And I get how some of those tenants are feeling. And they don't know how to start negotiating with their landlord, or they could be and should be worried that if they make some payments, that the landlord will evict anyway. And so that's why an important part of our project is to handle negotiation on behalf of those tenants and get those agreements in writing.
Definitely. Thank you. And I do want to add to that. If anyone has any questions regarding that, they can always reach us through renovention.com. And I'll post the link in the comment section of this video as well so that you have direct access to it. Or you can always reach us by phone, and I'll post that phone number as well in the comment section, so that you have direct access to that as well. Um, I know I know a couple months back we had the CARES Act, and that was a big protection for a lot of tenants. And so, Mike, this next question is: has it been extended? Is it still protecting tenants, or is there anything happening with the CARES Act?
Parts of the CARES Act are still protecting tenants. So the CARES Act passed at the end of March and said that a landlord could not give a landlord in certain protected buildings. It's kind of funny that the CDC protects certain tenants and then the CARES Act protected certain buildings because of their relationship with the federal government. So in the covered buildings, I'll explain in a moment which buildings were covered. In a covered building, that landlord couldn't give a notice until the end of July, and then it had to be a 30-day notice. If any tenants have been behind in rent, they know that generally you get a 5-day notice. So CARES Act, it had to be a 30-day notice, and there couldn't be any evictions filed before the expiration of that 30-day notice, which of course at the earliest could have been the end of August. The covered buildings were federally subsidized housing, and the full gamut: public housing authorities, housing choice vouchers, project-based subsidized buildings, low-income housing tax credit. And that's kind of easy to tell. Tenants know pretty much whether they have a federal subsidy. The much more difficult issue was landlords who had federally involved mortgages. And that's not something that any tenant is going to know about their landlord. And I even ran a few searches, tried to figure it out. Fortunately, the federal mortgage guarantee organizations, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and then some private not-for-profits as well, like ProPublica, put up websites to help figure it out. And that wasn't even definitive, but it helped. So for the most part, those protections are over in that, we're beyond August now, except for one group of buildings, and that's landlords who have gotten extensions on their mortgages. And to a certain extent, these websites might be able to help. But again, that's not, it's not, if I could just peel off an easy way to figure that out, I would share that out with tenants, but it's not an easy way to figure out. And that's another reason why calling for an attorney is a good idea, to help us figure out, for that kind of limited group of tenants whose landlords have extended federal mortgages, what their protection is. Because that protection is in place for whatever the length of the forbearance.
Got it. Thank you. And I do want to add, if you're watching on Facebook and you have any questions that come to mind as you hear the explanations and the different levels of protection that these moratoria protect offer Chicago tenants, please go ahead and put them into the comment section. I do monitor that, and we can always ask that question to Michelle. If you're watching this post live stream, still go ahead and put your question or comment there. I do monitor as well after, so we can always get back to you on that question. And if anything, you can go to reintervention.com and you'll find a lot of legal information that our attorneys have already vetted and gone through and posted there for public to have. Um,
And
and so,
Alex, I was going to say, if people are watching us on Facebook, they probably noticed today two things that you posted on Facebook. The
mhm.
good news, I'll start with that. The good news that Governor Pritzker has announced that he will continue his moratorium because of the executive powers under which he can extend this protection. He can only do it 30 days at a time. So he has reissued his executive order several times now. And he announced earlier this week, yesterday actually, that he intends to extend the order for another 30 days. That doesn't mean it'll just be 30 days and drop off. It's just 30 days is as long as he can. And then we'll see where things are on, it'll be something like October 20th. So that's very good news. And people can look at the Facebook page for a link on that information. And of course, once the actual order is out by the Governor Pritzker, we'll post that on the Facebook page. And also today we posted our referral, like one-page flyers, give a little bit about what services we're going to provide. And please share those. We put them up in English and Spanish, and we will see if we need to put them up in other languages as well. We do have uh, language capacity. We have a contract. We can interpret in any language. Uh, all of the services are free. And we have a team of lawyers who are prepared to give advice, brief services. You don't need, this is, I don't know, maybe I'll say this a couple of times because it's really super important. You don't need to wait until you're sued to talk to an attorney. People may think, oh, okay, well, the governor's extended it another month. I can, just wait another month. But nothing on this is going to get better by waiting. And you can call one of our attorneys and we can talk to you about your situation, perhaps only with your permission, negotiate with your landlord. The other great thing about LCBH is that we have a legal department and we have a supportive services department. And we have access to some rental assistance funds. We're not going to be able to solve the problem by writing a check uh, for everybody for the full amount of rent owed. But we do have funding for assistance that can help with down payments or pay back some amount so that we can work out a payment agreement. And, again, don't wait until the eviction moratorium has ended. Uh, Now is a good time to reach out and talk to an attorney. Sorry, I think you have planned questions, but I want to say that many times. So
No, no, and you answered my next question with that, so it was perfect timing. And I do want to add as well, we if you're looking for information, we Tenant Thursdays has been on for about over 15 weeks now. So there's a lot of segments where we've covered rental assistance, we've covered what to do if you're having lockouts, or if you need help with how to get an attorney or the eviction process or just anything like that as well. So you can always find those videos on our YouTube page or as well on our Facebook page under videos, and then you'll see a series for Tenant Thursdays. And again, you can always give us a call. I've already posted that comment with reintervention.com and our phone number. So if you need to talk to an attorney or you need to get informed, there's those are the quick access ways to go. And since you answered the couple questions that I had regarding Governor Pritzker's order, but the last question that I saw on social media floated around was, how can tenants take advantage of the Chicago COVID ordinance? Is it a specific letter? Can we help them? And what do they need to do to be protected under that ordinance?
Very good. The CDC moratorium that we were talking about earlier requires a very specific declaration. The Chicago COVID Ordinance, though, requires emailing just a few words. I've lost, it doesn't have to be any specific language. I've lost income. You don't have to have lost your job completely and have zero income. I know that a lot of people are trying to make it work, or some people have had hours cut, and so that they can't pay the full rent. And you email, text, or put in writing to a landlord, my income has been affected by COVID. If anyone needs any help with that, they can text COVID to the Rentervention number, 18667 renter, and it will produce, I don't know, I can't explain how, but it will text you the language that you need for a COVID impact statement, and then you can send that to your landlord. And it requires, under the Chicago ordinance, that the landlord negotiate with you. Again, my message, it's not too early to call an attorney. I talk to landlords, attorneys every day because they sue my clients, so I have to talk to them. And I hear a lot that people want to work out agreements. And I mean, landlords realize I'm not unsympathetic to where they are. They realize that we're all in a bad place, and just like some people have lost their jobs and lost their income, some landlords have lost their rent, and they know that getting some rent is better than getting zero, and they are interested in negotiating. I'll also say, I know that some people listening to this might say, oh, I've tried to call for legal services before. It's so busy, and it's true. There's not enough resources for everyone who needs legal assistance, but we're in a pretty good place right now. The City of Chicago Department of Housing granted Lawyers Committee for Better Housing funds under the CARES Act to supply this effort. We actually have a total of 12 attorneys working on this effort for the next 4 months. And I'm sure we're going to get really busy too, but it's not like calling in during a normal time to try to get legal aid. We have additional resources right now.
Definitely, yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned the Renovention number because you can text Rennie via text messages. I was looking for the number to post it in there in case anyone missed it, or they want to go ahead and do that because there's no internet or for whatever reason. I also do want to add that if you're a Spanish speaker, Rennie is now talking in Spanish, so you can text instead of hi, you can text hola, or go to renovention.com and then click the Spanish the Spanish language, and he'll be able to communicate and provide information in Spanish. If you're watching and you have any questions regarding the moratorium or any of the moratoriums listed, please go ahead and write your comment or your question into the comment section of the video. That way we can go ahead and read it off. And with that said, those were all my questions that I had kind of prepared and seen the most common ones online. Michelle, I'll give it a couple of seconds, see if anyone has any last minute questions while I post the phone number for Rennie. But I do want to thank you for coming on and talking about such an important subject and topic regarding housing for renters during COVID here in the city. I know things have been moving very fast, so I do appreciate you taking the time and being able to provide clarity as to all the different layers of things protecting renters and how each one of them applies.
Oh, and I really appreciate that you made this forum. I would not know how to do this if I had to do anything more than just click on the link that you sent me. So I'm glad that you're doing this. Uh, I know it's a good way to reach out to people and to let them have resources, both staff and rental assistance resources to try to help them. I mean, the name of our project is the Eviction Prevention Project. I've been an eviction defense attorney for really about 25 years. I know how evictions hurt tenants in terms of how it hurts a credit rating. It stays on a credit report for a long time. It makes it harder to find other housing. And that's not even getting to the displacement. So I know how difficult eviction is on tenants. And that's why, it's all I'm going to do for the next 4 months is try to prevent eviction.
Definitely. And it looks like we didn't have any questions come in. But before we go, I do want to say, if you're new to the segment, thanks for joining us. We are on every Thursday at 6 p.m. here on Facebook Live. We cover a pretty good amount of all the topics and policies and anything that could affect or is important for Chicago renters to know. So we'll be here next week, and I believe the show for next week is going to cover the Just Cause bill. We'll be putting out communications and marketing and flyers and information about that segment very soon. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining our live segment today. We'll see you next week at 6 p.m. Michelle, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.